Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is the one, the only Todd Corder, and of course our fabulous producer Wayne Ridenauer in beautiful Memphis, Tennessee. This is again ATL Prime Sports. You can find us at ATL Prime Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. I don't think I missed any there. Personals, mine's at JJ Get You One, at RWY Jr. for our fabulous producer Wayne, and at Corder Todd, CORDER TODD, I should say, for Corder Todd. How's everybody doing tonight, guys?
Well,
Go ahead, Wayne.
The guy went to Texas, so at this point, no big deal for me. I mean, I don't care where he goes at this point. He didn't go to Memphis. He didn't go to Auburn, so what difference does it make to me?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to welcome another baby girl into the world in December. The Braves took 3 of 4 from the Giants and welcomed Freddie Freeman back home Friday night. Sold out, standing room only. TC, how about you, man?
Doing good here in Hotlanta. The Hotlanta lives up to its name and reputation today. I mean, like I said yesterday, weather in the upper 90s, pushing 100, lows in the 70s, chance of rain. Not hard to be a meteorologist this time of the year, I can tell you that. It's pretty predictable. And in terms of Freddie Freeman coming tomorrow, I expect a circus Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Truist. It should be quite the atmosphere. I'm interested in seeing what type of ovation that Freddie Freeman will get. I would imagine it would be 90-10 in favor of cheers. You're going to hear a moron boo. There's no doubt about it. Just let them boo for what Freddie Freeman did for the Atlanta Braves for the years that he was here, which was a lot of them. Tremendous, and he left winning a World Series ring. And a matter of fact, he'll get that ring tomorrow night.
He will. What's on tap for today's show? We're about 10 weeks away from the kickoff of college football, and we're going to do a special college football show. Wayne talked about it. It's the big category, the big topic of the offseason so far is Arch Manning and C.J. Carr have made their college decisions. C.J. Carr, 2024 class, commits to Notre Dame. Arch Manning, the number one quarterback, overall the number one recruit of the 2023 class, chooses Texas over UGA, Clemson, Ole Miss. Several other schools were in the mix. What do you think of their decisions? TC, we'll start off with you, buddy.
First of all, I want to congratulate Ole Miss. They're playing for the World Series 2 out of 3 in Omaha. They're going to play Oklahoma. It should be a great 3-game series. Oklahoma has the advantage to me. They get to set their pitching and go with the ace in game 1. We'll see how it works out. We mentioned last night the Southeastern Conference has been so successful in baseball, just like football. In terms of Arch Manning, you mentioned committed to Texas over Georgia, Bama, LSU, Clemson, and Virginia. You mentioned he's the top player in the class at 23. You know what really has stunned me so far is this really was an old school 70s type of recruitment. It was pretty low key for as much media hype that Arch could have got, and really so far they're not active in NIL opportunities up to this point. Arch Manning, obviously Archie Manning's grandson, and obviously his uncles are Peyton and Eli Manning. We all know about the success and the pedigree and the reputation from the family, which is first class. But, really was an old school recruit, in my opinion. And he had a close friend, Will Randall, a 3-star tight end, his high school teammate and close friend again. He committed to Texas a couple of days ago. So that kind of led to where we're at. Once he committed, there were a lot of folks out there that thought for sure that Texas was going to be the winner of this sweepstakes, so to speak. And if I may.
What do you think of his decision? Are you okay with it? Do you think he
Oh
made the
yeah,
right
I mean,
decision?
well, it doesn't matter what I think of it. I mean, obviously the family's okay with it, so yeah, I'm okay with it. But coming to Texas, a lot of folks you saw on social media today were pretty critical of it. Look, this is a big get for Texas. This changes
Yes.
the game for the Longhorns, JJ. This is Texas's first #1 overall recruit, ESPN 300, and first quarterback ranked in the top 20 since Garrett Gilbert in 2009. As you know, Texas is coming off that 5-7 season. To me, this is a massive get for Steve Sarkisian, the head coach and the play caller. And I tell you what, the Manning family built a long relationship with Texas QB coach AJ Milwee and Sark, and that's the reason they got him. And you know what? The Manning family's all about relationships, and they built that relationship, and that's how they got him. They were comfortable with him, just like Peyton and Eli. When they same type of decision, they went with who they were comfortable with.
Yeah, I think it was a great decision. He wanted to pave his own path. You don't want to see your granddad's number as the speed limit. You don't want to see your uncle's number retired. You also don't want to go to Tennessee, play behind your other uncle, Peyton, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks in history. I think he made the right decision. Here's a cool stat. There have been 3 quarterbacks with perfect 1,000, 1.0 ratings according to 247 Sports. They all went to Texas. The answers are Vince Young, Quinn Ewers, who went from Ohio State to Texas, and now you have Arch Manning. So they do a very good job of recruiting some of the most elite quarterbacks that have ever been graded. So I think that had something to do with it. The second part to this question was C.J. Carr. I think it's a cool decision. He'll be playing for Notre Dame. His grandfather was the coach at Michigan, and the coach he'll be playing for is the Ohio State grad. So C.J. Carr made a great decision of paving his own path as well, and I love that. I also love the fact that both quarterbacks are expected to bring more recruits with them, especially in the skilled position and the wide receiver set. I think that's good news for Texas because they have lacked skilled players over the last couple of years. They've recruited them well, but they just have not panned out. Texas was down last year, 5-7. That's not exactly where Texas wants to be. And also, I think Texas pitched, hey, you can play in the SEC. We are going there in 2025. You'll be able to play in the SEC still if that's what you want to do. So I think that both kids made the right decision for their career paths. It's a matter of how hard you work, how well you do in the classroom, and how well you read the playbook and adapt from high school to college. And I think both these players will do just that. Obviously, the Manning last name speaks for itself. And then Carr has been around football his entire life. So these are both football families. They both made the right decisions. They're both paving their own way. Wayne, I want to hear your thoughts. I know you didn't care too much, but what did you think about this job? Arch Manning, Quinn Ewers. We haven't seen much of Quinn yet. Do you think Arch will overtake Quinn in the next 2 years?
Well,
I wouldn't.
Oh, Wayne, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that he would. But if you're going to choose a school in Texas, I think University of Texas is the better one than UTEP, Texas Tech, Houston, or Texas A&M. I think if he's going to go to Texas, he picked the right school. But as far as me personally, they don't play Memphis and they don't play Auburn. And so, the next 2 games for me is Memphis going down to Starkville and the Macon Mercer Bears getting on the bus and traveling down to the Plains.
And look, you guys talked about Manning, Carr. This was a family support decision. Again, Lloyd Carr was all for it. He coached at Michigan. His son, Jason Carr, which is CJ's father, was a backup quarterback at Michigan. So, a lot of pedigree there. And CJ Carr, again, this is about relationships, struck up a relationship with current Notre Dame offensive coordinator Tommy Rees, who was a former quarterback at Notre Dame And then obviously you mentioned head coach Marcus Freeman earlier. You mentioned, he played at Ohio State, and he was on the staff, Brian Kelly's staff, and they elevated to head coach. So obviously these kids weren't worried about a school's tradition, JJ, whether they won recently or not. In Texas, they haven't won recently. Notre Dame has had quite a bit of success lately, and CJ Carr never wanted to stay in the state of Michigan. Now, granted, he went 20 minutes away from the border, but he fell in love immediately with the campus, and that's what sold him, along with the staff. And if I can flip the script and talk about Texas, you and I, JJ and Wayne, look, Texas's last natty was in 05. They lost the BCS natty in 09. They've been struggling since 010. So what, 5-7? I'll read the record. Since 2010, they're 5-7. 11, they were 8-5. In 12, they were 9-4. 13, 8-5. 14, 6-7. 15, 5-7. 16, 5-7. This is incredible. 17, 7-6. 18, 10-4. 19, 8-5. 27-3. And last year we mentioned 5-7. They have been bad for quite a while. 11 seasons now. They have not really had but 2 good seasons in the past 11, and they've lost at least, and 20 was their best win-loss season, and 3, and that was a pandemic-shortened season. So, Sark coming in here and turning this around, getting an Arch Manning. Now, they'll start buffing up that recruiting class. Speaking of the recruiting class, JJ, it's been better than you and I think, because I looked it up today. In 2013, they were number 17 in the nation. 14, they were 15. 15, they were 10. 16, they were 8. 17, they were 25. 18, they were 3. This is nationally. 19, they were 3. 20, they were 8. Last year, they're 15. And right now, getting Arch Manning puts them in the top 5. And they always finished first or second in the Big 12 during that time period. So the recruiting's been there. They're going to step it up and obviously get it better. But Sark's got a big job. And to me, getting Manning.
They have to develop.
Yeah, to me, getting Manning bought Sark a lot of job security, and he's going to fight it out. You mentioned it. He's going to fight it out with Quinn Earls. He's going to fight out with him. He's on the roster. Malik Murphy's on the roster, and Hudson Card, who was the number 2 quarterback in 2020. So they've got quarterbacks. So there is going to be a competition. It's just not going to be given to Manning.
So let's go what everybody wants to hear. Do you think CJ Carr, or do you think Arch Manning will win a national title, or B, a conference title? Obviously, CJ Carr has no opportunity to win a conference title unless Notre Dame slips in the ACC in the near future with conference realignment coming. I think they both have a good shot at winning a national championship. You're at Notre Dame. They were a couple plays away. If Oklahoma State ends up winning that Big 12 championship, who knows what happens there? Maybe Oklahoma State, maybe Georgia doesn't get in. Maybe Notre Dame gets in. There was a lot of play last year. Notre Dame's really close. I think they can win a national championship. It's just everything's got to go perfect. But only one team gets to win it. So the chance of them both winning a national championship, or one of them winning a national championship, is slim to none. I think Manning's got a better shot at winning a conference title because he's in the Big 12. And look, let's face it, if Sarkisian wants to keep his job, they got to win fast. So we'll see what happens there. But I think they both have a pretty equal shot at winning the national title, which is slim to none, unless you're Alabama or Clemson of late, who has multiple titles. So we'll see what happens there. Time will tell.
Look,
Todd, what do you think? Do you think one of them wins a conference title or a national championship?
I have no clue. I really have no clue. I'll just say this. Notre Dame's path to the title is much easier than Texas's will be starting in 2025. And we'll get to that. We'll get to 2025 and talk about Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC in a minute. But to me, Notre Dame playing an independent schedule, playing X amount of ACC games. Plus, they can say, hey, look, we play in the Southeast. We can recruit in the Southeast, just like the baseball program's doing. That's going to give them a recruiting advantage. They've always recruited nationwide, but now they can actually say to the parents, hey, you can see us play. We'll be on the road in the metro Atlanta area. We're going to play at Clemson. We're going to play at Florida State, and et cetera. We're going to play at Miami. So, Notre Dame's path to the title is a little easier than what Texas's will be starting in 2025. Now, if Manning steps on the field in 2024, he's playing in the Big 12, then oranges to apples. But, to sit here and say who's going to do what, I have no clue. You don't even know if these kids are going to play, if they're going to be redshirt or anything. The fact is their families have great pedigree, and they've had excellent coaching up to this point. So JJ
nailed it on the head there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pedigree's there. You're right about that. The pedigree for both families. You mentioned CJ's father, backup quarterback, obviously Hall of Fame head coach in Lloyd Carr. And then all you got to do is say Manning. Everybody knows who Manning is. Let's move on. Let's talk about that portion you were just talking about. Texas, Oklahoma, set to join the SEC in 2025. But do they leave early or do they come at all? There's rumors out there that they might not even come. Now, that's a little deep on the rabbit hole spectrum. I'm pretty sure they're gonna fulfill their agreement with the SEC that they have set for 2025. Let's talk about it. Do they leave early, Todd? I'll tee this one off, guys. I don't think they leave early. I don't think they're going to pay that extra money to leave early. That contract expires in 25. The 4 teams come in next year, so this is going to make things dicey for scheduling for a year. I think the chances of them leaving early are gaining because of the schools that are coming in. But who really knows? Only the brass of college football. I bet Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, probably has a little bit more knowledge on this. But I've read articles where a lot of people think in 2024 they're going to jump ship a year early because of all those schools coming into the Big 12. Todd, what do you say? Does Texas and Oklahoma, do they leave early?
My guess is no, because of the money, because there's a penalty of $75 to $80 million. So do they want to pay that money? Now, if the relationship sours, then, there could be a smaller settlement. Now, what that settlement is, who in the hell knows? I mean, it's all about the money. We all know why they left. It was about the money. In 2020, the Big 12's revenue was $409 million. And in 2020, the SEC was 768.9 mil. Each school got over 47 mil. And by the way, 39 mil to the Big 12. Let's see, that's $8 million more a year. We all know why they left. But, there's an interesting deal. And JJ, you and I talked it off the air. There was a publisher from collegefootballnews.com, Pete Utak, who said in a tweet, I'll believe Texas and Oklahoma are in the SEC when they're actually in it. He said the SEC makes no sense for them, even for the money, especially if the college football isn't expanded. But he went on, he does think they'll go, but at some point, someone in each school will write and go, have we really thought about this through a memo? I just thought it was an interesting tweet. And Tim Brando replied to that tweet. Texas and Oklahoma, no rush. Big 12, needs additions, which they're getting now before the TV deal. It's a great news for each school, for each conference, in his opinion, because, the Big 12 is going to get buffed, and so is Texas and Oklahoma. And hopefully we'll have Tim on next week on the show, and that can be one of the many questions we ask him. JJ and Wayne, I want to ask you, do you really think somebody in the S is going to write a memo going, have we really thought this thing through here? Are we really going to go ahead and do this? Because let me tell you, Oklahoma has great track record of winning Big 12 titles. Going in the man's conference Good luck with that. It's a rotational invitational. Nobody dominates the SEC. I know Alabama's had the big run since Nick's there, but you're just not. It's only for so long, and then the competition is so good, and there's so many kings in the castle. LSU's won 3 titles since what, '01 or whatever it is, under 3 different coaches. Bama's won it. Auburn's won it. Georgia's won it. I mean, good golly molly, this conference, it's so competitive that they really could have stayed in the Big 12 and made hay, and it would have been easier for them to go to the playoff. But we all know why they went. It was money. What do you guys think of that gentleman's statement? Do you think they're going to regret leaving?
I don't think anybody's going to regret going and joining the most prestigious conference in college sports. We have Ole Miss playing in the SEC, the World College World Series. You have South Carolina in basketball just went to the Final Four. Auburn's been to the Final Four. This is a great sports conference. I don't think any school is going to miss out on that opportunity to come into the greatest sports conference in college athletics. It just means more. It does.
That's a
more
hell of
money,
does mean
more money, more publicity, more fans, more TV dollars, more viewers, more people in the South watch college football than anywhere else in the country. It just means more. And if you're Texas and OU, you're the biggest brands in the sport. So why not? You're going to make the best even better.
You're making a great point, JJ. I had to throw it out there because, look, I made the other side the devil's advocate.
Absolutely.
Oklahoma's not running the Big 12 like they ran the SEC in football, and we all know what drives the engine. Football, it pays the bills. I mean, basketball, men's basketball, Wayne, can pay its own bills, and I know you're big hoops, Memphis, and all that, but football drives the bus, and I don't care what bus it is, the Madden bus, the SEC bus, football drives it, and it drives it from Little League down football, pays for everything from elementary to middle school to high school and to college. And
it does.
A lot of these sports wouldn't even exist if it wasn't
without college football.
And thinking, man, Oklahoma just had all this run, and now you can forget it. They're not going on this run like they are in the SEC. They're not. So that's why I said, will they have some regrets? And then you, JJ, made a great reply. Everything else is in their favor. They're just not going to win championships in football like they're used to.
No, and again, it's the one of the best conferences. Look, when Oklahoma and Texas do come in, look, technically you would have an all SEC baseball final right now if this is 2025. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with sports, with college sports in general, when these two brands come in, because they're so competitive. Look, Texas was in the Women's College World Series and the men's. Oklahoma was as well. So you're coming in here, you're bringing two huge brands into every sport. I love playing the devil's advocate game. Wayne, let's get your quick thoughts and we'll wrap this show up, buddy. Any thoughts on Texas, Oklahoma, leaving early? You care, you don't care, yay, nay, give us something.
No, nothing's going to happen ahead of schedule, and nobody's going to change their mind. And I really think Carr would have made a better decision had he gone to Purdue, because I've got a feeling that Purdue is going to end up dominating the Big Ten.
I got to hear why, because I don't see it coming.
Because they're flying under the radar, and all the other teams are involved in too many extracurricular things as far as what's happening with them socially, what's happening with their coaches, and I think it'll be Purdue's going to be able to hunker down, and I think they're going to be the dominant force in that conference for a while.
Look, I'll give you this: they're in the West, which is no longer going to be the West because they're going to pods like the SEC. It's all coming. So I'll give that. They're on the side of the ledger where there's Nebraska. They've struggled. Wisconsin's been really consistent. Iowa's pretty consistent. Northwestern is in and out. Yes, they're on the other side to do better. But I can tell you right now, they're not beating Ohio State. They're not beating Michigan on a consistent basis. They're not beating Penn State in the consistent basis. And I don't think they'll beat Michigan State in the consistent basis. That's their problem. The East is stacked like the SEC West. And speaking of the SEC West, they ought to just name this baseball tournament the College World Series of the SEC West, because that's what it is.
Well,
That's funny.
don't.
I like the Purdue name drop, Wayne. I like the Purdue name drop.
I don't. Just neither one of you are going to be able to look surprised when Purdue starts pulling this off.
I
like head coach Jeff Brom. I do. I think he's a great head coach. Good offensive mind. They love to throw the ball around, and who knows? You never know. You get right. You get the right recruit. Things fall your way. You win one big game. Anything can happen in college football. That's why it's one of the most exciting sports to watch. Folks, that about wraps us up. Get a final thought in for the show. Enjoy the NBA draft this evening. The Atlanta Hawks pick number 16 overall, but are rumored to want to trade forward John Collins to move up in the draft tonight, so look out for that. Any final thoughts, TC?
Georgia Tech, we had Patty Parks Rooney on last night from the Rebel Walk. And, last night we told her that Ole Miss is going to come to Georgia Tech on the 17th of September. And hopefully all of us here at ATL Prime Sport, yes, that includes you, Wayne, coming from Memphis, we can meet her. Or I told her last night, JJ, I was off my rocker, by the way. I told her last night, I said, the three of us could go out. We could go to Memphis, go to Wayne's place in Memphis. Then the three of us could go over to Hotty Toddy and watch Ole Miss sit out in right field. And when they hit the home run, we'll get a beer shower. So,
Any final thoughts on the show this evening?
Well, no, man, I gave my final thought.
So anyhow, that'd be great if we could meet folks from the Rebel Walk. I had a chance to meet them last year when I went to the Louisville Ole Miss game down at Mercedes-Benz. I met, David. I didn't get a chance to meet Evie. She was there, but she was working. So maybe we'll have a chance. I don't know. It depends on my schedule this fall. But it'd be a cool thing if I did have one open Saturday to be able to run down there and get to know them folks.
Folks, that wraps us up. That's ATL Prime Sports. Remember, if you like the content, give us a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe. Apple, Spotify, give us a review. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I think I'm forgetting one. Oh, yeah, Twitter. Find us all at ATL Prime Sports. For Wayne, for TC, I'm JJ. See you guys next time. Get you one.
Welcome.